Hey guys, this is Frank. This week we're going to talk about this battery pack that I built last week, or I started working on. And one of the difficulties I had was these cross members. I'm having problems with them. I don't like them. They stand up too high. And one of the problems that I have is this is going into a portable power pack. And that just chews up room. I don't have room for that. And I need something that's going to lay a little flatter on the battery. So in this video here, we're going to talk about some of the ideas I had and how I came up with the ideas to actually change my bus bars. I know that I spent time last week putting them in and creating them, and so we'll scrap that. And we're going to start over with some fresh bus bars. So let's do it. Hi, I'm Frank, and this is the DIY Engineer channel. This channel is all about DIY projects. And recently, we're doing mainly just 18650 batteries. We're doing these big batteries. We're taking cells that we harvest from laptops, or we buy new, or we find wherever, and we take and basically repurpose them, salvage them, repurpose them, and create things like portable power packs, small portable power packs, all up to large portable power packs, and even power walls. Here in the near future, my son and I are planning on actually converting his early 90s Mazda Miata to an EV, to an electric vehicle. And we're hoping to do it with 18650s, and it's going to be a fun project to convert that car from gas to electric. And we'll just see what the issues are there. I'm sure we're going to run into all sorts of fun stuff. Some of the other things we're hoping to do is put some solar panels on the house. Maybe not on the house, but we're going to put in a solar array. And I'd also like to build a garden shed and do some other construction projects. So if you have any comments, or if you find this stuff interesting, please subscribe below and just leave comments. Let me know. Let me know what you want to see and what you have an interest in. So to start with, when I was looking at reviewing the bus bars, because I just didn't like the size, I started watching YouTube videos, right? That's what we do. We need help with something, we go to YouTube and see what we can find. And I'd like to thank Leaf X-Pack. Leaf actually put together a video that showed some bus bars that he had built. It's similar to the type of technology that I use, where I take standard house wiring and repurpose it for bus bars. But I liked his design because it actually laid a lot flatter on the cells. And part of what I want to accomplish is being able to have, take up not quite so much room. And the other thing is I had some ideas on how I wanted to tie the different cells together. And so I built a jig. I built a jig and I built a process. And I'm going to go and share that with you now. So let's go to the garage and take a look at what I've got built for you. All right, so what we have here is I'm doing a redesign on my bus bars because I really didn't like it. So this is the new bus bar that I'm looking to build. This is the centerpiece. This would go between 4 cell sets. So if I take this and run it on top of the battery pack, it looks something like that. Looks something kind of like that. It'll get mounted down once we get everything cleaned up. And then what I'll do is I'll run these other bus bars in line with these. Again, this was an idea that I got from watching this video right up here. This would be one side of a battery pack. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I build these bus bars because I like them much better. And the reason I like them better is because they set down lower to the cells. They're not as high. So I have less profile, which I need because I'm putting this in a tight space. And I started thinking about it with that twisted wire. You end up with this bulk on one side. So then what I'll have is I'll just have these bars that'll run in sync and form enough conduit for the power to flow through the cells. So now, if I'm looking at the other side of this battery, what I have is, because I'll be going down the center on the next one, and then the ends will have double bus bars. So there's going to be 2 bus bars there, and then there'll be 2 there with the loops. and then I'll have 2 over here, and another one here in the middle. So this redesign was just, I was grasping because I didn't want all that bulk. I think this is actually going to be easier to build. So let me show you how I put together my jig. In creating the jig, the parts that I'm using here is this piece of old OSB hammer, and I'm using this for a crimp tool. It's just a stripper and crimp, and I got a pair of dikes here. And then I got a bunch of crimps. I'm using the crimps because I was thinking about, well, how can I tie these pieces together in the middle? And I thought about twisting them, but I didn't like that because I was getting that bulk back in. And I remembered that when I was building my homes and I did the wiring, I always had to tie my wires together, and I would twist them and then add these ties. Well, the only reason I'm adding them here isn't necessarily for to be an improved conductor. What I'm trying to do is just bring them together so that they're not as floppy, and it will help in conducting, and that's why I have double going across, and this is all 12 gauge wire. Okay, so got the tools, got some nails, and my crimps. And then what I did is I took one of my extra frames that I had for my cell pack, and now I'm going to move my camera around and I'll show you how I established 2 jigs, one for the U shape and then one for the round shape. So what I have here is I initially took the cell holder that I have, and I figured out that I needed to come in 5 cells. So what I did down here is I just had worked this in to the corners. So I took my starting corner here, not in the end, but just over in this section here. And I'm just going to tack this in so you can see. So it just kind of touches the cell holder on the bottom. And then I put another one in the corner over here on the other side. Let me see if I can get you a close-up of this. I'll get a photograph of it. All right, so that goes in that corner there, and then I went down 5. So I took in 5 cells, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my 5th cell, and again, I just want to go in this inside corner. So again, tack this in, and then I put another one in the corner over here just so I have that. So that's just one side. That's just one side. And then after I did that, I skipped a cell and went into the 3rd cell, because that's kind of how this lays. If I can pull this off of here, and you can see what I have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this centerpiece. So allow my fuse to go in between these. And then, so then I go over to the 3rd one, and then I need to be able to do this piece here. And so that's what we're putting in down here as I'm adding in. Oh, come on, you got a little crooked on me. And I'm just putting these in light because this isn't going to stay. I'm just showing you. All right, well, you get the idea. So when I bring my wire in and do a wrap, it would go around those screws or those nails and wrap. So that's how I jigged it. I worked it out, and if you guys are building this stuff, you're smart enough to figure this out. You don't need me showing you every little detail. But this is kind of the way that I did it, and it worked out quite well. I took and actually drew lines, thus the Sharpie, so that I could remember the pattern of how that all went together. So in looking at the pattern, you can see here that the nails themselves, I just have 3 of them in those corners to help stabilize the wire because I'm pulling on them. And then this here is for wrapping, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then these here are my starters. So let me mount this back up, and we'll make an end piece, one of the U pieces. And you can see how I pull that wire through. Okay, so now that I have my jig built, what I need to do is grab a piece of wire, and then what I do is I just work it into that first part of the jig, and then I wrap it through those nails, and they actually stay in place. I don't have to do a whole lot once I get it here. And then all I do is I just hold it down good and firm and wrap it around those nails so it follows those lines. And then as I bring over the next one, and that is my first piece. So this is the U piece. Just going to cut it off somewhere in there. I'm going to trim them back later. But that gives me this U piece, which I crimp in later on. So it's the same size every time. I can make tons of them because I have the jig already made up. Okay, so next I want to do this one. And it's a little bit different in that my starting point is kind of in the middle. I'm going to start here in my jig, and then again just wrap it around nice and firm. Wrap this one around, straighten it out here a little bit. A lot of excess. Boy, that's going to take a little bit of work. And then we're going to bring it around again. And one more time around this corner. I'm going to go over there. Firm that up and back into the starting block. And then I'm just going to take and kind of work it a little bit. Let me take my dikes and just kind of straighten things out. Make it so it has that shape or gets the shape that I'm looking for. And then I'll just take my dikes and just cut them off. Cut off my wrap. All right, so let's take a look at this piece and the other piece. They're not perfect, but the general shape is there. Until I just have to do is give it a little bit of tweaking. It's a lot easier than trying to do this all manually. And that gives me one of my loops. So they're consistent every time. So I have another one. And then really quick, what I'm going to do is take this out. All right, there's a loop. And at this point, what I want to do now is just join them so I have these pieces become one. And I'll do that with these copper crimps. So I'll just run this copper crimp down into the center of this. Grab my center here and run it through here. And now I have my crimp in place. The wires are all made. Take my crimp tool and just give that a good squeeze. So there is the start of another, which will actually be the bottom side of this battery. Hopefully that was helpful. Please subscribe. Leave a comment, ask questions, tell me what you think. Am I on the right track, or is this just crazy talk? So please subscribe below, leave comments, ding the bell. Ding the bell is always a good sign, because then that way there you get more content. You actually know when I post. And I appreciate you watching. So till next week, have a good one. You know, the whole topic over like 4P, 40S, what comes first, the 40S or the 40P, 4S, 40P, P, S, 4, whatever. But you know, one of the comments that was made was, yeah, it actually goes smallest to largest. So you would do a 4S 40P and not a 40P 4S.